We are live and in color. Yes, champ is here. Yes, we are live and in color right now. Come on. Yes, we're bringing it to you another day here. Intimate Discoveries, Unveiling Connections, the podcast, redefining a conversation around what it means to be intimate in a world just going crazy in our relationships all over the world. We're bringing it to you right now today. And I got my guy on today. We coming in with a new approach today. And we're bringing it home to the parents, to helping you to influence your children's math scores. Let's go.
They said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here now.
Yes. Oh.
And I'm here to stay, never go down.
Yes, the champ is here.
I'm a champion,
I got author,
a champion.
entrepreneur, educator,
I'm a
Mr.
champion,
Gerald Cummings.
'cause I'm a champion.
The champ is here, baby. And I got Gerald Cummings here, and he's about to launch his book, Move, Motivate, Optimize. What is it? What is it? Move, verify, and then empower. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it right now. The champ is here. Oh,
Hey, let's go, let's go.
what's up, baby? What's up?
Hey, good to be here. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, Gerald, give you your flowers, man. Absolutely.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes. So how's it going, man?
Oh, it's going pretty well. It's been a little busy, working on this book and trying to build up some buzz about it on social media and things like that. So I really appreciate this opportunity right here.
Well, we appreciate you having here, man. You're doing some great work out there. Give us a little bit about the work that you're doing in math and empowering students and changing their lives. Give us a little bit of background about that.
Oh, okay. Well, now, as for me, I've been in education for a little over 18 years now, and the majority of it is in math. Um, and I'm also a parent. I have 5 children, my oldest being 25 and my youngest being 10. And so the purpose of the book and what motivates me is that in our community and just across the board, it seems like math has been lacking. And that is something that children need that's going to help them in subsequent life. Studies have shown that children who, if they master math at an early age, are able to acquire more challenging jobs that pay more and lead into leadership roles. As number one. And also, unfortunately, math, you can't run from it while you're in school. So if you can master it, it will build up your child's confidence
Mm-hmm.
and will help them in their matriculation as they go through school and be willing to want to be lifelong learners.
Right. Absolutely. And you brought out a big um, point in saying about confidence, because confidence breeds excellence, and if you're confident, you can win championships, right?
Exactly.
We talk about we look at NBA players, we look at professional sports. It's the confidence that brings them to that level of excellence.
Right.
Right. And so when you're talking about math, building a student's confidence in math and how they can um, how it can just compel you to um, be more excited about learning, because you when somebody already know 8 times 8 is 64, right? You knowing those math facts, and that builds a lot of confidence. And how are you helping in those aspects?
Well, as a teacher, what we try to do to help build the students' confidence um, is to try to create a safe place for a child to try.
Mm-hmm.
Because we as educators, all we really want is for a child to be willing to try. If you're a good educator and you have students in your class that are willing to try, then there's no limit to how high their performance can be in any class, especially in math.
Mm-hmm.
But if the students don't feel safe to try, they'll stay in their little comfort zone and not try to push the envelope to reach new heights, and then they won't succeed in math because they're only going to go so high because they don't feel confident to go forward or to go further, pretty much.
Right. And so what you're talking about, and this is in line with intimate discoveries, because we talk about being vulnerable, right?
Right.
And your child being able to be vulnerable. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
one of the things that we talk about in being vulnerable is that vulnerability requires two spaces to be available for vulnerability to even exist. And that's a brave space and a safe space. And one of the things that you're talking about is parents providing that safe space, and then as an educator providing that and helping a child to have the courage, right, building that confidence where they can be brave enough to be vulnerable and share and learn.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so it's important. So talk to me more about this book, man, because you decided to bring a book to give a guide for parents.
Exactly. So here's the thing. Um, the book is called The Move Method, a parent's handbook to your child's success in math. The purpose of the book is the majority of education consultants that are out there, they are catering towards schools and teachers, but nobody
Mhm.
helps the parents. Nobody helps the parents. And in my years of education, I have found that in any school, for any school to be successful, these three things have to be in place. You have to have good educators, you have to have good leaders, you have to have good teachers, and you have to have engaging parents. If any of those three things are missing, you're not going to have a thriving school. And so educators and education consultants deal with the first two. Your education leaders, your principals, your superintendents, your
Mhm.
instructional coaches, things like that. And then they also deal with the teachers, right? Because being a teacher is hard, so they do things to try to keep them pumped up so they'll come to work and teach the kids. But there's that lacking part, which is the parents. And
Mhm.
that's where I come in because I am both an educator and a parent. And
Right.
so I can only do so much as an educator. You know what I mean? As you know, I only see the kids maybe an hour or to an hour and a half a day. You
Right.
know what I mean? Now, if you're an elementary teacher, you might see them, a lot longer, but that's still only a finite amount of time. Whereas the parents, they see them a whole lot more, so they're able to make a much more stronger and lasting impact than a teacher or an educator will. And so, but they don't. But a lot of parents don't know how to make that impact as it relates to education and their child's education. So that is the purpose of the book.
So hold on. So you're saying that you as a teacher, you have practically about, depending on the subject that you're teaching, you have about an hour with each, for the students per class, right?
Right. If you teach high school or middle school, yes. If you teach elementary school, you might have a little more time with
You have a
them
little
because
bit more time.
you
And
know in
so,
elementary they just have one teacher all day. You know what I
right.
mean? But
So
when
so
you
let's
get
dismantle the myth that the child is with the teacher more during the daytime than you are with the parent.
that's
So,
just that's just a myth. I mean, you can just sit there and look at the numbers. How can they be? Because they
right,
with them when in the morning, then when they come home from school, and then on the weekends. So and then during the summer and every holiday. And yeah, yeah, definitely. Parents they have a lot more impact. You think
right.
about it, more than likely, if you're having a good school experience,
Mm-hmm.
it's either for one or two reasons. Either one, you have support at home
Right.
and you are doing those things, or two, you have no support at home and you're trying to prove a point that you can do it anyway. That's how kids, if they're having a good if they're having a good experience at school. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of them two things, and both of those things come from the impact that the parent made on them. You know what I mean? You
Right.
get the student to be like, my mama said I'm never gonna be nothing, but I'm gonna show them. So they come to school every day and they work hard because they're trying to prove a point.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Not because of the teacher made the impact, because the parent made the impact.
Right.
Right. So
So
the purpose of the book is to recognize that parents have the most impact and how they can use their impact more effectively so that the child will be better in math.
absolutely, I think that that's great because as I'm a numbers person, and so when as what I'm looking at is, let's say for example a teacher have 1 hour with 20 students,
Right.
right? Let's make it easy math. That means each day I have 3 minutes one-on-one time with each student.
Right. But
And so,
you
huh?
really don't.
Well, I
Yeah.
know, I know, but if we look at it per student, you got 3 minutes for each student,
Mhm.
right? And so, depending on that student's level of readiness, will determine the amount of time that the quality of those 3 minutes. Right? You're not going over the basics with this individual. You can get more in depth and more advanced when the student comes to school prepared.
Right.
Right?
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. If
and,
the
and
education
so when you have this book, I'm hold on, I'm kind of going somewhere with this thing.
okay.
When you have this book that equips parents to optimize their child's math education, and so when they're in school and it's their 3 minutes, they're in that session, they can be more. You can hone in more on the critical needs for that particular student, right?
Exactly.
So, So why should yeah? So tell us more about how this book helps and why people should get the book and
Oh, sure. So look, a majority of your books that are out there about parents helping students with math is kind of dealing with the math, right?
mm-hmm,
So you have these books like called, maybe Math for Dummies, Fractions for Dummies, Algebra for, things like that.
mm-hmm,
However, those books are only taught one way. And I guarantee you that 8 to 9 times out of 10, the way that that book is explaining stuff is going to be different than the way that the teacher is explaining it to your child.
mm-hmm,
So what ends up happening is you go home. I mean, the child comes home and you think you bad because you don't read this book about proportions, and then you go to try to teach it, and the teacher said, "No, we don't learn it that way. We learn it this way." You don't know it that way because you just learned it from the book that taught it the other way. So
mm-hmm,
now there's a disconnect there. Okay. So
mm-hmm,
rather than having the parent try to learn math and teach it, because first of all, teaching math is not easy. You can't just put math in a book and now you be able to teach it. You might be able to do it and take a test, but you're not going to be able to teach it to nobody from some book. That's not
mm-hmm,
how. education works. Otherwise, everybody be a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a certain skill and it's a certain um, practice and art to teaching. So rather
Mm-hmm.
than trying to teach you math, how about we show you how to use the move method so that your child can do better at school where they're gonna get the math in the first place, right? And they're gonna get it the way they're supposed to get it so they can show their performance and do well at school. So the move method stands for motivation, optimize, verify, and empower. Okay. So that's what we're trying to do, right? So you're trying to motivate your child to do well in school. Okay. You're trying to find out what motivates them and use that to motivate them to do well in school. You're trying to optimize their time. You're putting them on a schedule and a whole lot of other things that are in the book on how to optimize your time with this child, as well as their time at school and their time independently, so that they're getting the most out of their time to do well in math. Then you're verifying that all that work that you're saying that they're supposed to be doing, and all the stuff that you are doing, is
Mm-hmm.
being done. And the last thing is that you empower the student. So here's
Mm-hmm.
an example. So Franklin, I know that you're a military guy, right?
Right.
So
I'm
why
retired. I'm
does
retired.
right? Yeah. Once the military, always military, right? Yeah. Mhm.
Go ahead.
So why does the soldier run in the battle, or why does the fireman go into the burning house? Not
Because of
because he's
training.
getting paid, because of
Because
two
of training.
things.
Because of
Number
training.
one, he trusts his gear. And
Mm.
number two, he knows that he has a whole bunch of people behind him that have his back, right? Soldier doesn't just run in there by himself, right?
That's
He
true.
knows that he has people that have the same training as him or better training that have his back,
Right.
okay? So when you send your child off to school, they should have that same feeling. They should know that your parent at home got their back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how do you do that? By using my method, the move method, right? Because if you got a child that knows that their parents at home got their back, they're gonna go through a wall for you. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
do, and they're gonna reach all kinds of their full potential just for the simple fact that they know their parents got their back. You know what I mean? Because as a teacher, I can have your back, but shoot, I got 150 students. You know what I mean? So my impact on you as a student is not going to be as impactful because it's spread out over 150 students.
Right.
Whereas a parent at home just has their kids at home, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's the only people they have to focus on. I have to focus on 150 students, and then I get a whole nother 150 the next year. You just get them same kids that are yours. You know what
Right.
I mean? So that's why, so when you look at it that way, a parent has more impact. So we're trying to, so the purpose of the book is for you to recognize that yes, you have that impact and how to use it effectively to help your child with math.
Yeah, and you have to be able that you're talking about having a relationship with a positive relationship with your children.
Right.
And so this is another thing the book can highlight is the importance of parents having a positive relationship with their children so that they can motivate them in a positive way to
Exactly.
improve their math scores.
Right. Now,
Right.
this is the one thing that I have noticed, Franklin, in my years of teaching. I have taught in uh, Democrat, all different socioeconomic demographics,
Hmm.
and in different countries over the world, in Saudi Arabia, in China, in the Philippines. I've taught all over, as well as taught in different socio demographics in the United States. And the
Hmm.
one thing that is a constant, it doesn't matter if the parent works at Walmart or if the parent works at Microsoft. Every parent wants their child to do well in school.
Hmm.
Every parent. It doesn't matter if they send them to the school in the hood or if they send them to a private school. They want their child to do well in school, right? But they don't know how to do that. So they send them to school with the hope that the parent, that the teacher and administrators are going to take care of their child because they don't know how to do anything else, right?
Right.
And especially if the parent did not do school well, right? If you were not a good student and you barely got out of school or you didn't even get out of school yourself, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's the last place that you looking for support because it is the place that gave you anxiety, right?
Right.
And so that is also in the book as well. We talk about the book talks about math anxiety, talks about test anxiety, talks about parents and their their relationship with school. And
Mhm.
actually, the first chapter of the book is called "It's Okay," right? Recognizing where you are, and if your child isn't doing well, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I'm a parent as well as a teacher. I understand. It's okay. So what do? We draw a line in the sand
Mhm.
and we move forward, right? I'm kind of like a religious person, um, growing up in the church, right? And the good book says, forget the things of the past, but we press forward to the high mark, right?
Mhm.
And that's what you do, right? You can't sit there and dwell on the past. Oh my goodness, my child didn't do good in middle school and they struggling in high school. Well, they struggled in high school yesterday, but they ain't gonna struggle in high school tomorrow and going forward.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and so I'm gonna we got a couple individuals on the podcast as well. Miss Patricia, I'm gonna see if we can invite her in
Okay.
to um, to join in on the conversation. How you doing, Miss Patricia?
Hi, this is Maria Cummings,
Ma-
actually. How are you?
Maria.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, Maria. It just says Patricia Freeman
Well,
on
they
here.
said a nickname. That's my nickname.
Okay, Miss Patricia, how you doing?
Good, good.
And what do you think about the conversation so far?
Very, very good. It seems like the book is going to be like a coach for the parents. Like the coach doesn't necessarily know how to get in there and, let's say football, tackle someone, but the coach knows the game and could lead them. So I think that it's going to be a good coach. It sounds like it'll make the parents feel stronger, especially parents that don't know math. It's just as scary to parents as well when they weren't good at math. So, I mean, I haven't seen the book or read it, but it sounds like it's going to be a good tool. Um, will it be available in other languages?
That is a good question. Um, the one thing that I have noticed in my teaching is that in the United States, we kind of teach things a lot differently. And there's different expectations and different motivation styles. So I would have to kind of research that because it might, uh, that tweak some things because some things might not necessarily apply in other countries. But yeah, it's definitely an option
Yeah.
because
I was
you know.
I was thinking other languages in the U.S. still because you
Oh,
have
definitely. Yeah, if you're in the
yeah,
U.S., definitely like in Spanish and in
right.
French, because they're in the United States, but they might not have that command of the English language, but they still want their
Right.
children to do well. And that's the one thing, like I said, there's not a parent that wants their child to do bad in school. Nobody's saying you like just go to school, whatever happens, happens. They want them to do well. And the reason why is because they either are experiencing being in school or I mean not doing well in school and having to work 2 and 3 jobs because you couldn't, you don't have the credentials to get a really good paying job, or they know somebody like that. You know what I mean? Or they did well in school and they're doing well and they want the same thing for their child.
Right. Right. So I agree with Miss Maria when we talk about having a book in different languages because motivate translates in Japanese, Chinese, Hindu, Spanish. Optimize translates over into those languages as well.
Right.
Verify and empower, right? So
Mhm.
following those four principles, those four pillars, I think it'll be an easy translation. I think this book can be in all languages, to
Well,
help
no, yeah,
individuals.
I think so too, and and that's what I really want. I really
Mhm.
want the book. The reason why I'm writing the book is because we as educators, a lot of times we will blame the parent for not, you know, they should have read to their child. They should help them with their homework, this, that, and the other. But if that parent has three jobs just to keep the lights on and has other kids that they have to take care of, then it's difficult. You know what I mean? You can't have that same expectation. You know what I mean? Because just because you have the child in your classroom for a little while, you can't um, having that expectation is unrealistic. However,
Mhm.
keep in mind that you have as a parent you have that impact, so you might have to shuffle some things around. And how do you do that? Using the move method that's in the book, right? So all of that is in there, so that the parent doesn't feel overwhelmed or
Mhm.
doesn't feel like I don't have time for this because I got all of this I have to do. You know,
Well,
anything, yeah. So anything worth having, you got to work hard for, and so you might have to make some adjustments in your life, and it's going to be hard, and that's in the book too. You know what I'm saying? This is not a quick fix. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be hard. You're gonna stumble sometimes, but you know what I mean. We're doing this for the sake of your child. So you
mhm.
might stumble sometime. You just get up, brush yourself off, and just take one step at a time.
Absolutely. So let's talk to that parent that is working those three jobs, and how can she or he apply that the move. Let's walk them through the acronym. How that person that has that small amount of time, that parent with those three jobs and those five children, how can they apply the move method? And it's important for them to get the book so they can get one-on-one instructions
Mhm.
on how they can apply this so that they all five of their children can be effective in school. Talk to me.
Well, the first thing that you want to do is you're you have to kind of try to carve out some time when you have just a little bit of face time with your child. And then once you do that, you establish that these are the things that are going to happen because I want you to do well in school. Um, and then the motivation, it might not be a constant an everyday conversation face to face. It just might be a little note in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Because the parent might have to be gone in the morning or leave late at night to go to work, so they don't see the child leave in the morning. But there's a note on the refrigerator, or there's a note on their lunchbox, or on their books that says, "I believe in you. I know you're going to do well today. I hope today is the best day ever." Those type of things, right? And then also you meet with your child and you tell them that we're going to put you on a schedule, so you're going to do this, and this, and then you verify it um, with the schedule. And the best way to do that, you can use technology to set some stuff up on your phone to remind you, and then you might have to tell your child to leave their math work out for you to see, right? Now, at first, they might try to play some games with you, put some gibberish down or whatever. All right. The other thing that you want to do is email the parent, right? And you can check your email anytime. So if you not to email the parent, email the teacher, excuse me.
Mhm.
So if you develop a good relationship with your teachers, with your child's teachers, they will go the extra mile because they know they got support at home,
Mhm.
especially in math. Um, because we understand that the content is difficult. So we know that the kids need support. They don't might not, what I'm saying? We're not expecting them to get the help with the math at home. We're just hoping that they get support at home. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who's, has their back and that's believing in them. And then, so after you verified, the next thing that you do is you empower them, right? you let them know that you believe in them, right? That you have their back, and that there's a system in place that we put in place to give a good foundation for you to be able to stand on and move forward, right?
Mhm.
And so then the anxiety kind of goes down because you know that somebody at home has your back and that you have prepared, right? That's the key to any type of anxiety. When you have test anxiety, if you know that you prepared, right, then you just believe and then execute calmly. You don't go in there and hyperventilate. You calm down, right? And you be confident in your preparation and then execute calmly, and you'd be surprised at how far and how well you perform. And so
Absolutely.
that's how a a busy parent will help their child. You know what I'm saying? We're not expecting you to take time off of work. We're not expecting you to stay up late and do extra stuff like that. But you have to, you might have to do some little things to let the child know that you're there. And if
Right.
you're doing that, then they're gonna try. Like I said, they're gonna try you in the beginning. But if you have a good relationship with your child's math teacher, then all that will go away because you'll be getting emails from the teacher saying that you know Johnny didn't do his homework and this, so you don't have to worry about your child trying to hide things from you because you getting information straight from the teacher as well.
Basically, what this boils down to is the move method requires a scheduled time and intentionality with the parent
Exactly.
and leadership on the parent. And like you said, whether you have 5 jobs, 3 jobs, 2 jobs, or no jobs, right? That you have to begin to be consistent and set that time with that child for the move to take place.
Right. Exactly. And that's in the book as well. Chapter 2 is called consistency because you have to make sure that what you're doing today is not just for today and it ain't going to happen again. Your child's going, I hate to say it, but it's true. Your child is going to try you to see
Mhm.
if this is really something that is going to happen on a regular basis. And once they recognize that it is going to happen on a regular basis, then they're going to act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? Research shows that children respond positively to structured environments. Okay? Adults are the ones who don't respond positively, but children respond positively to structured environments, right? Because, they're growing and they have all kind of stuff going in their head and they just looking for something that's going to give them some type of direction, right? And so when they have a structured environment, they're going to respond positively.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's a good point because one of the things that I've learned is that um, we're all figuring out life, right? And children are figuring out life, and so one of the things when I'm encouraging individuals, it's like I have a 12 my cousin, she's 12 years old, and so one of the things I have to remind myself and remind her mom and everybody else is that this is her first time being 12.
Right.
She's not an expert at being 12.
Hmm.
So we got to give her some leniency.
Right.
Man, she's trying to figure out life, and that's where you talk about having that structure. So that gives them some structure as they're
Hmm.
feeling they're figuring out how to adjust with math and adjust with growing up in a life full of social media and technology and stuff like that. So it's important to provide that structure, and that structure can be helpful in their progression, in their progress,
Yep.
right?
Yep. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And when you're providing that structure at home, right? That goes back to the impact that the parent has, right? They know that when they come home, they have to do this, they have to do that, they have to do that, and they're going to want to do it, right? They're going to want to do it. Why? Because you're motivating them, and you're
Mhm.
also, you've recognized what your child's extrinsic motivation is, or the intrinsic motivation is, and you're feeding into that and giving them those type of things. Like, hey, you bring home 100. we'll go do this, or I'll buy you that, or you might bake a cake for them, or do something great for them to feel recognized. There's those different motivations that children have, and so you're just feeding into your child. And while you're doing all that, the child is going to do well in math. But on the backside of that, you are going to be creating and developing a much stronger relationship between you and your child as well.
Yeah, and that's important. Miss Maria, do you have another something that you want to add to the conversation?
So, how do you envision the target audience as far as the kids' age or grade levels that your book would actually assist with?
Well, the book is designed for all parents, but usually a child will start experiencing trouble in math usually about the third or fourth grade, right? And that, and where it can be, where the work might be a little bit difficult because we teach math differently now than when the parent was in third grade. But kindergarten, first and second grade, you know, most parents can handle that, right? They just doing colors and shapes and counting to 100. You know what I mean? And letters. So yeah, so the purpose of the book and the target audience of the book is the parent of the child at any age that has difficulty in math. You know what I mean? The parent is getting the report cards, the parent is getting the calls home, and the parent teacher conferences, right? So it really doesn't matter what age they're in. If you're setting up and using the move method, the move method is going to look different for a child in elementary as opposed to a child in high school. Because they have different motivations. You know what I mean? Child in elementary school, you just buy them some candy and they're good. You know what I'm saying? Whereas a child in high school, you might do some things a little differently because they're a little, a lot more, emotional and psychologically, developed.
So would you say? Go ahead, Patricia, Miss Maria.
No, I was good. I'm good.
No, I'm listening. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying an acknowledgement, like thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
No more
Thank you.
questions.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at is the earlier you get this book in your hands, the more benefit that you'll have, the greater the impact that you can have on your child. So starting at third grade, empowering them, motivating, optimizing their time, and verifying at an earlier age will have the greatest impact.
Right. Mm-hmm. And also, develop, all of that, the move method is the umbrella of creating a structured learning environment at home related to math.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can have that, then your child will thrive. It doesn't matter when you start. You start in 11th grade, you start in the 4th grade, you start in the 6th grade. You know what I'm saying? The later you start, the harder it will be because your child will, for lack of a better word, like a horse is going to buck. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? The older that the child is, the stronger the buck and the harder you have to work to break them. You know what I mean? Whereas a young child, you know what I mean, their buck is much less. You know what I mean? So you're able to get them and reel them in. Just like, we as teachers, if you don't have control of your classroom at the beginning of the class, at the beginning of the school year, you're not gonna have control of your classroom at all. You know what I mean? They just, it's a whole lot easier to be hard in the beginning and loosen up than to be loosen and get tightened. So it's the same thing. And if you got kids that have been in an unstructured environment for a long period of time, it's going to take you a little bit longer. But as long as you're consistent with it, and and you just keep working at it, and they recognize that this is how things are going to be, then they'll fall in line.
So, do you think the move method can be applied in reading and language arts or social studies?
Well, yeah, I think that it can, um, but the purpose of the book is more related to math
Right.
because most of the time reading, I'm not trying to downplay reading, but
Hmm.
the way that you become good at reading is just by reading more. You know what I mean? If your child doesn't like to read, that's why they
Hmm.
don't read well. But if they are reading, then they're going to read well. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you can get your child to read more, then they're going to do better in reading. Math is not that way. Okay, it doesn't matter. You can give them a whole stack of books. They don't know how to do the first. It doesn't matter how many math books you give them. You know what I mean? So they have to be open to the learning that's happening in the classroom. That's going to help them meet the needs that they need to be successful. Okay, and so that's what the purpose of the move method is. You know what I'm saying? Getting, for reading, you can work on the different reading techniques, supporting evidence and finding the main idea and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
But all of that comes from reading more. The more you read, the better you get at it. And,
Hmm.
that's just how that happens. And, and so, but like I said, in math, it's not that way.
Okay. Well, I was just looking at the move method and looking at motivating them in reading, optimizing their time, giving them a time to read, right? Verifying that they can read and comprehend, right? And then
Right.
empowering them to get more books, right?
Right. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's what I was saying is that this book is can be used as a tool in a lot of different subjects, right? You can move in social studies, you can move in language art, you can move in music.
Yeah, you really could. You really could. But my niche is math, and
Hmm.
so the it's not that I'm against helping students do well in all
Right,
those other subjects,
right,
um, but my focus is what I'm really good at, and
right.
it's really what I'm really good at is helping students do well in math, and I can only do so much in my little time that I have with the students. So
Hmm.
I need the parents' help, but the parents don't know how to help. Right? We as educators, we have decided to become educators. We went to school, we took tests. You know what I mean? We made sacrifices to become
Hmm.
educators, and we have a desire to be educators. Whereas parents, they don't, you know what I'm saying? Some parents didn't really choose to be parents. They just kind of might have ended up that way. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to what to do, there's no handbook, right, on how to be a parent. There's no guide. You just do you either gonna do what your parents did that worked and
Hmm.
don't do what your parents did that didn't work or what you didn't like. That's
Right.
pretty much what it is. You know what I'm saying? You might go buy some parenting books, stuff like that, and based on your demographic and your race, you see if it applies. You know what I'm saying? You might be like, nah, we don't do things like that. You know what I mean? And so it doesn't apply to you. So there's no set handbook when it comes to parenting, whereas
Hmm.
there is one in just about any career that you decide. But we need, as educators, and especially in math,
Hmm.
we need support in order to move these kids, especially since post COVID, we have a serious education gap, and so in order to do that, we need more support, and the support that gives us the biggest impact that's not being tapped into are the
Hmm.
parents.
It's a parent. That's good. That's very good, and I appreciate you um, really staying locked in on your niche. That this book is to help parents with math. This is a math. This book is designed to address a specific need, and that need is to help students with math. And
Right.
so, parents who are struggling, who have children who are struggling, are looking to optimize their child's learning in math or help them to be to whatever challenges that they're having, that
Mhm.
they actually can use this book and it gives them step by step practical tools to help them to be more engaged with their student, with their child.
Right. They're going to be more, and therefore increasing the engagement of the child in school.
Right.
Now, the book is um, preferenced on, it's its foundation of the book is that when they go to school, they're getting what they're supposed to get.
Hmm.
And so, as an education consultant, there are instructional models and things that we as teachers can do to help reach that child as well. Every child, just like your child is different from my child and different from the next child. It's the same thing. The same. You can't teach the same way to every child. You know what I'm saying? It can't be a cookie cutter thing as well. So as education consultants, what I do is go in to schools to help with enhancement of instruction to help those teachers reach those students as well. Because they get the structure at home. Now what is the teacher going to do? See, before they wasn't getting the structure at home, so the teacher can just say, "Well, they're not getting no help at home. That's why they're not doing well," even though the teacher may not be doing as much as they could, and
Okay.
that's what
So
as
so
well.
how can how can individuals reach you um, to
Oh,
help as they want to work with you? How can individuals connect with you?
well, there's my website, which is BodieLearningAcademy.net, and that has my contact information on it, and there'll be more stuff added to that as we get closer to book publication.
Okay.
Um, and then on there is all my contact information for social media and things like that. And so they can use that to get in contact with me, which will, and I'm here to help, and I am open to speak, at churches and other community events, because this is a big thing, right? Because it happens every year, and the only thing that we are sure of in education is that math scores are going to be lower this year than they were the year before. That's the
Mhm.
one thing that we can always count on. We can try as hard as we want, but it's just that thing is the problem. And so the in my opinion, the solution to the problem is to empower the parents.
Mhm. So tell me that website again and speak it a little slower so I can make sure that our listeners
Okay.
get the website and tell
Yeah.
us about your social media handles. If you're on
Okay.
Facebook, on
Yeah.
Instagram, tell us those handles too so we can reach out to you from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm on Instagram, which is G Cummings 70 at on Instagram. Facebook is GC for Life on in Facebook, and my website is the Bodie Learning Academy, which is BODHI. That's Bodie Learning Academy.net, and you can find everything about what we do and how we can. Because in the past, what we've been doing is we've been doing both curriculum design and math and science tutoring. And so now we are getting into consulting.
Okay, perfect. So what you're saying is that you also you there is a format or a process for tutoring.
Hmm.
If your child needs help for
Yes.
tutoring, they can reach out to you in those social media outlets
Right.
as well as going to your website. And
Exactly.
then if there are churches and there's other nonprofit organizations or learning institutions that would like for you to come in to utilize your services, that they should also reach out to you as well.
Yes.
Okay, and then again, go to, was it Bodie Learning
Yeah. BodieLearningAcademy.net.
Academy.net, and
Right.
then on Instagram, tell them one more time, and then we're gonna wrap up this show. But
Okay.
you've been an amazing. You've provided a wealth of knowledge. You've provided we're excited about your book.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
excited about
excited
it
for.
too. I really am excited about it. It is currently in the editing process and then going into publishing. I didn't want to talk about the book until it was done because I wanted to make sure that it was going to happen. You
Hmm.
know, but I'm really excited about it. Um, my mother wanted to be an educator, but the one thing that she always did for me is that she always motivated me. When it was hard for me growing up, but she was always there for me and didn't treat me, any differently. So this is a monument to her, how to overcome and to do things not just for yourself, but to also give back.
Well, beautiful. Well, we want to give you a round of applause, man. Just say congratulations. Thank you for putting in the work, for
Thank you.
staying at the computer, typing, doing the research, putting it as easy as possible for parents of all ages,
Right.
to be able to take this tool and be an effective parent, and help in giving their child the best possible um, education and encouragement as possible. So we look forward to you coming back, letting us know when we can, when the next, what do we call, the book signing
Right.
schedule, the location, how we can, and then let us know. Come on back and let us know once it's published, so we
We'll
can
do.
actually, where we'll be able to find it, right?
Right.
On
Mhm.
where on, was it Amazon? What
Yeah,
other
it'll be on
location?
Amazon and Barnes and Noble online.
Okay,
And then as it gets close to publishing, you'll be able to use my social media as well as the website to take pre-orders. I'll be taking pre-orders so you make sure you get it. Um, and then there'll be book signing events as well. And I'm looking at Charlotte as well as Atlanta and Raleigh and in Charleston, South Carolina. So
absolutely,
yeah, places where that the demographic um, will be able to, you know, where the book will be able to, you know, it'll be more relatable.
absolutely. So I got Miss Donna. Donna's on the line. Do you have a question before we go off air, Miss Donna?
No, I don't.
Okay. Do you have anything you want to add to the show that you've been on and you've listened?
No, it was a great show, great explanation of the book. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
Oh, beautiful. We appreciate you tuning in, and we're back again on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Again, tune in each week, Mondays and Wednesdays, 8 o'clock. Intimate Discoveries, the podcast that's turning the conversation around what it means to be intimate. And today we had a show that was designed to bring awareness to education and the importance of parents being involved in their child's education and being a part of the learning process. And so we want to thank Mr. Cummings for coming out, being a guest on the show. And
Thank you again.
yeah, absolutely. We thank you for coming. We thank you, man. We thank you for your great work that you're doing. And tune in next time as we continue to empower the world and encourage individuals to provide that safe space where individuals can share. This is your host, Jeff Frank, and we are out. Thank you again for tuning in. Appreciate you. Intimate Discoveries, the Unveiling Connection podcast, redefining the conversation around what it means to be intimate. Yeah, another show has done well. Thank you so much. Let's go!
Said I wouldn't make it, but I'm here now. And I'm here to stay, never go down.
Yes, the champ is here.
Cause I'm a champion. A champion. Cause I'm a champion. Cause I'm a champion. A champion.
Yes, we'll see you again. We're back here on Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Tuning in. Intimate Discoveries, Unveiling Connections. Champ out. Ow!